Hello, everyone. Um, in this session, I'm going to cover Selenium, introduction to Selenium, and also some basic commands um, about the Selenium. So as I said, first of all, we are going to start with the introduction. So what is Selenium? Selenium is free and open source, meaning that you can download it and use it. You don't need to purchase any license. So it is free and open source, and it is used to automate the web-based application, meaning that any application that run on the browser, it's supported by the Selenium. So Selenium is free and open source, and it's also a suite of software. So why do we refer to Selenium as a suite of software? Because it is a suite of software. It's a bunch of software. It has 4 components. And if you move to the next slide, we see that it is 4 components. Selenium IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. It has this component as a recording and playback feature. So meaning that you can simply record the action on the browsers and play it back. This is really suited for individual that has no background or programming experience. Selenium RC stands for remote control. This is deprecated, meaning that it's no longer in use. And the major downside about the Selenium RC that it requires JavaScript code to be injected into the browsers. And so it has been deprecated in favor of the Selenium WebDriver, which is the 3rd one on our list. Selenium WebDriver, by far the most important component of the Selenium. So it interacts with every browser by communicating with every browser driver. So every browser has drivers. And in this way, Selenium communicates directly with the browser through its driver. Then we have the Selenium Grid. Selenium Grid is used to perform the tests in parallel. It's used to test the application on multiple browsers, multiple platforms, platform meaning like operating system like Mac, Windows, Linux, and et cetera, et cetera. So these are actually the 4 major components of the Selenium. But what we are focused on the Selenium WebDriver. Selenium WebDriver, as I said, this is by far the most important component, and this is free, open source. You can download it, you can use it without requiring any license. Of course, Selenium has some advantages and disadvantages. So advantage of the Selenium is that it's free, right? It's free and open source. It is actually, it is used to automate the web-based application. The other advantage is that it supports a multiple browser, such as, Google Chrome, Safari, Mozilla, and etc. It's also used to support multiple platforms, such as Windows, Mac. Also it supports multiple languages, such as Java, Python, and etc. Selenium IDE is listed. This is one of the components, but it's also listed as advantages because it allows the people, the individual with no programming or coding experience to run it. In the same way, there are some disadvantages about the Selenium. So what are these disadvantages? Selenium only supports the web-based application. It doesn't support the desktop application, meaning the application that runs on the desktop or within the operating systems. Also, when it comes to report, when it comes to the external file to fetch the data, it relies on some other libraries, such as TestNG or Cucumber and some other for data-driven testing. Also, it doesn't support any API testing, such as rest assured. So that API testing is going to be covered and some, by the end of this course. And also, I think that's it about the disadvantages. So whenever someone asks you about the disadvantages or limitation of the Selenium, you can talk about these stuff. All right, so we move on. Again, there are some details, some information about the WebDriver mechanism and the way that it works. So as I already said, the Selenium WebDriver directly interacts with the browsers. Every browser has a driver. Selenium WebDriver interacts, give the command to the driver, and driver interacts with the browsers. So this is basically like the driver is an interface between the driver and between the Selenium. It's like a taxi driver, right? So a taxi driver is an interface between the rider and the taxi. And the same way, driver is also an interface between the Seleniums and the browser. So it gets the command from the Selenium and it translates it to the browsers. This is the way that it works. So we move on. Of course, that when you want to set up Selenium, and you need the Java, one major language such as Java, Python, Ruby. So in this tutorial, we are going to work with Java. You need an IDE such as Eclipse or IDE, IntelliJ IDEA, and of course, you need the dependency in form of jar file or in form of a Maven file dependency, which we cover in other tutorial. You can watch that as well. So, as I say that every browser has drivers. So in this tutorial, we are gonna cover how to set up with the Google Chrome, how to download the Chrome driver and how to set it up so that the browser, we are gonna configure the browser so that it works with Selenium. But we are gonna configure it with the Google Chrome. And the setup is kind of the same. You can, it's a little bit different, but basically it's the same thing if you want to set it up with the Firefox or some other browser. So how you can set it up, the first step is that you have to download the Google Chrome driver. I'm going to actually demonstrate that, how you can download it and how you can, configure that. So this is basically here system.set properties. This is the class that you need to use that in order to configure that. So I'm going to demonstrate that in my IDE. So first of all, as I said, you need to download the Google Chrome driver, right? So you go to Google, type download on Google Chrome driver. Make sure that this is the website. So before we click on download, we need to determine the Google Chrome version, right? So in order to determine the Google Chrome version, you just click on three dots, go to help and about Google Chrome. So when you click on about Google Chrome, if you see here is a 105 version 105, and then this version that you download should match the one that you download, because if they don't match, then there are going to be some issues. All right, so now this is 106, and also our browser is 106, so you have to make sure that you download the right version. Since I already have it, so I'm not, if you click on it, it's going to download. So I'm not going to download it because I already have in my computer, so I don't need it. All right, so let's actually set this up. I'm gonna create a class. So what I'm gonna name my class Selenium demo, and that's it. I need my main method, right? Then as I already said, we use a system class and we use the set property. So if you look at the set property, it say that a string a key and a string a key. It requires two key and value, two string. So we are going to click on the set property, and the first one you're going to type WebDriver.chrome driver, and then comma. The second value is going to be the path of the Google Chrome driver. So wherever your download is, in my case, it is the Chrome driver is in my download. So I already it is actually, when you download it, it is in the zip format, but you can unzip it, and then this is my driver, right? This is basically applies in the same for the Windows. If you have Windows, Alt Shift key and right click. When you right click, there is an option say copy as path. So you select copy as path, but if you have Mac, then you follow the system. So right click on this, get info, then you can see the path is right here, right? So you click on that and then right click, copy as path, right? When you copy as path, and you need to come here and paste it as a string. So paste it as a string. This is the path of the drivers. And of course, you need to add your driver, Chrome driver. So now we have the Chrome driver, and what we need to make a reference of the WebDriver as well. And here we say Chrome drivers. So we made a reference of the WebDrivers, and now we can actually use the WebDriver, and we can use whatever method we want to use. As I said, I'm also gonna cover some basic command. The first command I'm gonna cover is driver.get. Driver.get, if you look at the inside, it does not return anything, and it say that set string URL. Whatever website is gonna get it for you, open up for you. So I'm gonna select on that, and then I'm gonna just say google.com, and then it's gonna open that website for me. So I'm gonna run this, and we are gonna see that it should go and open up the google.com. All right, so this is successful, and it opens up for us the google.com, and some other command that I'm gonna cover on this is, so let's see what we have on the slides, right? So this is basically that, as I said, Firefox is kind of the same, but the driver for the Firefox called Gecko driver. You can download that as well. Same thing. All right. So and then over here we have some commands. The first one I covered is say to open up a website, open a new URL. The second is we have the to. This is also a method of the Selenium. What it does is that it opens a new website on the existing URL. So if I show you, then you will understand better. All right. So driver.navigate.to. Then in that case, I'm going to open up another website, HTTPS. You can say Amazon.com, right? So this to method Navigate.to is going to open up another website on top of an existing website. So let's actually see that. And also another one that I'm going to show you is very obvious. This method is quit, meaning that it's going to close the browser. If there are multiple windows, it's going to close all the windows. So after open the Google and Amazon, this method actually opens a new website on top of this an existing website. So let's see. First, it's going to open up the Google, and then it's going to redirect to Amazon. So let's Google, right? And then it's going to open Amazon.com on the egg. You see that? So method 2 opens a new website on the existing website. All right. Then it's going to quit, driver.quit. As I said, it's going to close the browser. But right now, I don't know why it's not closing. Maybe the reason could be that a little bit slow. There you go. It closes, right? Okay. So the next command that I'm planning to cover is driver.navigate.back. So what does back do? When we actually open up the website Google, right? When we open up the website Google, and then we open up the Amazon, now in the history of the browser, we have two websites, right? First Google, and then second Amazon. When you say back is basically is this button right here. So if you open our website, now if I click on this, it's going to show me the previews, the last website that I opened. And if you click on forward, which we cover next one, it's going to open up that. So basically, Back is gonna click on this one, goes one website back in the history of the browser, and click forward is gonna go forward. Let me actually demonstrate that. When we demonstrate here, you will understand better. So, okay, first gonna open up the Google and then Amazon, and then it's gonna use the back method, which goes back to the Google. All right, so let's actually run that. Okay, Google, Amazon, and then it's gonna go back to Google. There you go. So it went back to Google. All right. So as I say, in the same way, driver.navigate.forward is the same way that when it goes to, so let's actually put a little bit weight so that we can tell it's a little bit. So I'm going to put 1 minute, and I'm going to prevent the interrupt exception. All right. So let's actually run that again. So first of all, it's going to go open up the Google. Then Amazon, then it moves back to Google because we use the back method. Okay, and then it moves back to Amazon. All right, so let's actually see that if there are some other methods that we can cover in this session. So after that, we are back, refresh. All right, so I'm going to cover that as a last method. So refresh, as the name implies, is I'm going to put, actually this method of wait is not recommended, but just for demonstration, I'm going to put 1 more minute here. Then what they do is driver.navigate.refresh. Refresh, as the name implies, is going to refresh the browsers. All right, so let's see that. Okay. All right. Okay, I think that's it about this video. Thank you for watching. I see you in the next video. Thank you.